Alright, let's see.
And I did make it clear. I did make it clear on the phone when I talked to Phony. I was like, listen, I don't know. Like, I am at a certain stage in my career that, like, I want to put together as best of a team as possible. And I was like,
thanks for that much.
Like, the only answer that I could see being worth it, because I think that kid's like a generational Apex talent right now. Like, I watch him stream, I'm like, no one shoots like him. So I was like, if there's gonna be a player, it's gonna be him. Which is why, but like, I guess one of my biggest flaws is how I handle things and how I think about things is not how other people handle things and think about things. And I can't put myself in someone else's head. Here's what happened. All right, here's what happened. I'll give you the rundown.
Cam, it's 3 months.
We had a good event. We had 2 good events as a team. During the last event, Phony got mad at Frex a lot. He got mad at Frex a lot. Phony and Frex are really close. Don't get me, like, they're really close, like friends. I could tell Phony was upset. So a week goes by and I'm thinking like, okay, like I told him it was his team. Like I wanted him to be as comfortable as it was as possible.
Poppy, so 26.
As like to have like the best team that he could possibly have. So I brought up the possibility of possibly picking up Koiful. I said Koiful was the only person that I think would be worth to try and make a team change for. If they said that about me, I called Phony privately. Told him that I want him to be comfortable. If he's not comfortable taking team fights, then I think this is something we could talk about. But I also said it's your call. It's your. I want you to be comfortable with this team. If you want us to take it out with our current roster, I'm 100% okay with it. Made it as very clear as day that like I'm okay continuing with our roster.
Sweet, no, it's 43 months.
If you want to talk about having someone else on this team, I think it's okay to have the conversation. I wanted to move to more of a support role because that's my best role competitively. It's been my best role as a Bloodhound, as a Valkyrie, as a Watson. Those are my most successful characters. So I was like, if we picked up someone like Koi, I would absolutely transition into that role. I have success in that role. Koi's the only option. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like if someone brought that up about me, completely fine. And then I think like 1 or 2 days went by or something like that. And I was like, listen, I don't think it's worth it. We shouldn't do that. I think we should just stick it out with our roster, blah, 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 blah. Well, I told Phony this. He fucking goes and tells Frex instantly that I want to drop him. Doesn't tell me that he told Frex. And then we get into a team call. When I get back from the trip, I get blindsided. I didn't realize that was the case. I try to talk it out and say, hey, this is not the situation. I had no idea that he had already told Frex this. And they said that they don't trust me anymore, blah, blah, blah. They're gonna continue, like, they don't feel like we can work this out and all this other stuff. And I was just like, all right, like,
what the
fuck? Whatever. Like, it is what it is at this point. So, they thought I was blindsiding them. I didn't think that was the case at all. I was like, I don't know. It was fucking ridiculous in my opinion. So I thought, and the whole time I had gone back on what I had originally said. Phony for 3 days did not tell me that he already told Frex that I wanted to drop him. So I'm thinking everything's fine. I'm gonna come back, get into a call, and be like, Lies, let's turn up. Let's really focus on improving our individual skill and work on our team fighting. Blah blah blah. I get into the call and it's like, oh, by the way, I told him, without telling you for 3 days, while still talking to you, saying, hey, we should get into a call. The whole time they're fucking scheming behind my back on what they want to do. They don't want to talk to me. Whatever. Like, this is where I think the age gap comes into gigantic play in my eyes, because I'm thinking, like, Koiful is the top free agent in the world, like, of individual players that you would want on your team. If they wanted to replace me with Koiful, I would have been like, I think that's a fair conversation to have. I think that would have been a fair conversation. But I definitely think that it was just a gigantic age gap problem. I tried to work it out with them. They didn't want to work it out. I tried getting Frex into a phone call about 14 different times is what it felt like. He refused to talk to me.
Either it's 42 months. Andrew is 24.
I got completely ghosted by them pretty much. And that's just the end of the story. And then it just couldn't be worked out. And then it was the decision on what's going to happen with the team. So, in my eyes, like,
Game, it's 19.
I think I trusted too much, and I think about things like logically, not emotionally, whereas other people might be very emotional. So,
at the end of the day, well, if I had to put my 2 cents on something from a perspective, because I was told this like a while ago, right? I don't know how Frex is as a player. All I know is about Snipe, so like I'm pretty biased. Maybe Phony thinks that Frex is better than Snipe, but from my perspective, I feel like Phony is more of a guy to care about his friends than more so make a business decision to like further the team. And that's basically what happened. He wanted to cover for his friend because he was a lot closer to Frex. He was tight with Frex. And Sykes was just more so, or not Sykes, Snipe was more so like a business partner. Or, like I said, he just thought Frex is better than Snipe. So, and he was already thinking about replacing Snipe instead of Frex. Who knows? It was either of those two, but it's probably both. Both are probably true. So, but yeah. It probably went from like, I don't know. I personally think, obviously, like I said, I'm biased. I personally think Snipe is a better like individual and like player than Frex, but that's obviously for a lot of reasons. Just because I've played with him, I've watched him play. Frex doesn't really stream as much. Like Frex is like a very quiet player, so like obviously I can be wrong. I just haven't played with Frex like at all, except like maybe once or twice in Apex. So I don't know. I just hope at the end of the day, like obviously the team does well, but people shouldn't like. I hope the decision wasn't made because Phony felt bad for Frex instead of feeling that Frex is actually a better player. I hope that was the reason, because it would like I've already talked about in the past like how people want to be tight with their friends and stuff like
You guys
that.
got all those pictures memorized?
It should be business before friends, yes. At the end of the day, it's not debatable. When you are in the position like playing video games for a living, and you are picking your friends over possibly having a better team or making it, like you're just brain dead. Like I'm sorry, I don't like. You're playing video games for a living, and you're willing to sacrifice that so you could be nice to your friend. So like what you want to go like you want to fail and then go back to your 9 to 5 or go back to school and stuff like that because you decided to pick your fucking friend over the player that was actually better, that could have solidified your future as a professional gamer. Like you're just brain damaged. I'm sorry. I'm like there's a time and place to pick your friends, right? But when it comes to I don't know, playing, trying to solidify your future for playing or doing something that's not like always going to be around, I don't know. And if also like if that person was your friend, they would understand too. Like if you're not doing your part, then you shouldn't be complaining. So it's as simple as that. There's no point to replace you if you were doing your part or doing more than your part. That's why he dropped T-Harp. That man dropped himself.
Remember, I'm green.
I'm Blue Power Ranger.